Welcome to the Coming Out Happy podcast. You're going to come along with us. My name's Keely. I'm a seasoned somatic therapist, and my partner Dani, she's a 2-time published author and life coach. Let's hype her up. And as we navigate the balance between running 2 businesses, Coming Out Happy, our first company exploring sustainable well-being, and our second company, FeelSwell Experiences, a leadership development company, you're going to see the real behind the scenes and also get practical tips for a balanced and joyful life. You're going to join us for some real candid conversations about relationships, self-discovery, leadership, in a real down-to-earth way. So from shared stories to laughter, the Coming Out Happy podcast is the go-to place for those seeking wisdom and simple joys and living well. So whether you're here for insights or a good conversation, you're in the right place. Let's get into it. We're on a mission to inspire 1 million people, so you can be a part of that mission by hitting follow and subscribe. And trust me, we're going to give you the best of the best in these episodes. So let's get into it.
Hello and welcome back to the Coming Out Happy podcast. Today we are going to be talking about Keely. We're going to be talking about how, despite having ADHD, she has become a very successful human being. And really what we're trying to do is just break down the stereotypes and really have Keely share her experience on how it's affected her, different strategies that she has to cope, and really anything else that she wants to be sharing. You ready to dive into it?
I'm ready.
All right, let's go. So I have a list of questions. You ready for me to ask them?
I'm ready.
Okay. The first one is, how does ADHD affect your daily life, and what challenges do you commonly encounter?
Every day is a new challenge for me. But what I've learned is it's important to actually have some stability for me in my life. Every day I'm, faced with many different decisions and things to do. I run my own company here with Dani, and it's a structure that has to be in place in order to thrive. So I have my routines. I have things that I fall back on, like working out and making sure that I'm eating proper nutrition in order to sustain myself throughout the day, making sure I'm drinking water. I have this thing where if I don't see it, I forget about it. So I need to make sure that I'm putting whatever it is that I'm needing or using, or if I have a calendar event or something, I set reminders. Like, I really implement different ways if I fail that will catch me. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Like, I make sure that I have things that I can fall back on just in case I forget, because I think that's the biggest thing and how it influences my day is I'm very forgetful. I mean, you're my partner in life and business, so I'm sure you can attest to that I'm very forgetful, but I do my best to set reminders and create structure in my day so that I don't forget things.
I like it. I think you really have figured out what works best for you. But another question I have is, can you share like a specific situation where you felt that your ADHD had an impact on your ability to create or like complete a specific task that you were working on?
Yeah, I mean, there's many times where I'm focused on something and my brain wants to do other things. Or if I'm not taking good care of myself and I'm not actually checking in with myself and I'm not doing my routines, like I mentioned before, I can't get things done. Like, it'll take me hours and hours to get things done. And, I think back to the story of when I was younger. I was in a special math class, and one of my teachers came up to me and she was like, "You'll never be college material. You'll never be successful." And I was just I was one of those kids that definitely had a mouth, and I got kicked out of class and school. And I looked at her and I was like, "You're probably going to work for me one day." And I made that like such a pivotal part of my journey of making sure that I could be successful on my own without, with all the doubts that I received from many different aspects of my life. That was just one story, but that happened time and time again. And so as I'm going throughout my day, I try to remind myself now, because I'm at a very different place, that I do it for myself. I want to live a life that's meaningful. I want to live a life that is, embracing connection and is enjoying every single moment. But you can't do that when you feel like you're being really hard on yourself. That's something that a lot of people with ADHD struggle with, is they're so hard on themselves. And it can be really difficult to show kindness to others, show kindness to yourself. You get irritated very easily. So I've just had to make a daily effort to make sure that when I don't complete a task, I'm giving myself that grace, and I'm making sure that the other things are in place in order to get more done, maybe the next day or in a few hours, or I give myself compromise. That's what it is. I have to give myself flexibility. The rigidity of life, I think that's where I fall short. It's when I'm not, or when I fall off is when I'm feeling like I'm so rigid that I can't actually complete what I want to complete.
I mean, that would make sense, right? Different things work for different people. And I don't think the way that any of us want to go about life anymore is having a super rigid way where every single one of us has to follow it, because not everything works for everybody. Like I said in one of the other episodes, working an 8 to 5 Monday to Friday probably doesn't work for many people.
Yeah, it didn't work for me.
Yeah.
I'm clearly not there.
And going into the office, like some people, you know, it just doesn't work for people's lifestyles, or it doesn't work for their bodies. So it's like there has to be flexibility in the way that all of us are going about life, and we have to adjust to that because we're all individual people who need different things.
Yeah. Going back to your 2 questions that you asked, I kind of feel like I'm telling the highlights of how I'm able to do things now, and I have routines and I have structure, but I also want to shed light on the fact that it wasn't always easy. Like I harbored a lot of anger from people that doubted me, from myself, from just not being able to do things like everyone else. And it was such a journey to get to this point. You know, I tried medication. I tried, you know, working out at certain times in the day. I tried drinking enough water. Like there were so many things that I tried, and there's so many things that didn't work. And as you're on this journey, you know, it's figuring out what does work for you and what makes the most sense. So as I'm talking about the highlights of what works, just know that it didn't happen overnight, and it's not something that, you know, it's still a work in progress today, right? Like I'm still learning new things every single day about myself and what I need. You know, the most recent one was that if I don't see it, I forget about it, you know?
So what do you do to,
like, I've missed meetings. Do you know how embarrassing that has been for me to miss meetings because I'm starting on a new project and I'm working on something and I forget, you know? Thankfully, the couple times it's happened, I don't even know. I feel very lucky, and thank you, universe, but the meetings were rescheduled, but I've missed meetings, you know, and Dani's like known that they were canceled because a lot of times she'll like, I don't know, she'll check in on me and be like, hey, how was your meeting? And like, she knows that it was canceled. I'm like, oh. And then she tells me like, it was canceled, but like, did you know that you had that? And I'm like, yeah, but I forgot, you know? So it's giving myself that grace, and then just saying, okay, what do I need to do in order to make sure that I'm showing up and I'm doing all these different things?
So what would work for you now that we're talking about it?
Well, there's a setting on my project calendar that I can put my calendar, like when I'm working on my projects and I'm putting things into my system, I can have my calendar on the same screen, so I know what's coming next. But I definitely think, regardless, even with that, sometimes I still need a reminder. I need like an actual alarm to go off 10 minutes or 5 minutes before, usually 10 minutes before, because I know for myself I have to prepare a little bit in my head before I go into the next meeting. So yeah, it's definitely something that
so setting alarms, looking at your schedule for the day, and setting whatever alarm you're needing for a meeting.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to show you my alarms. Like I could scroll for days. There's alarms at 3:01, 3:02, like all kinds of alarms, you know.
So how has having ADHD really affected your professional journey? Creating a business, running a business, really in your day-to-day of running a business, not even just your personal life, but like how has it affected you, and how do you feel like you've overcome those obstacles? So not even just about meetings, but just your journey as a whole.
Having ADHD has made me a better person, and I used to see it as a weakness and something that I hated so much about myself. I was so hard on myself. Dani's seen it, you know, where I get so frustrated. Why can't I communicate? Why can't I remember things, you know? And it's frustrating. But now I use it as my superpower, because I realized, and this is the best analogy that I ever learned, it's that I think like a fork. Most people think like a spoon, right? One thought at a time. But my brain works so fast that I have so many different thoughts, which gives me a lot of room to be creative. And so I can string things together. I can talk about different things. Sometimes I don't know where I'm always going with things, but I have this ability to be different. I have this ability to think differently. And I love that about myself. I've learned to love it. And I speak in front of audiences and people. And sometimes I'm afraid that I'm going to forget what I'm saying and I'm just going to go up there and my brain's going to go blank. But something that's really helped me is trusting that I can forget things. It's okay. I don't need to be perfect. And believing in myself and saying, you just need to be who you are. There was something that I say to myself, and I heard this somewhere, so it's not mine, but I would get nervous when I was speaking, especially in the beginning, and I would tell myself, like, you can't be nervous when your heart's on service. So
you were singing and dancing that the other day.
So I'm always thinking about, this is for others, and it's less about myself, and it's more about how can I be of service and how can I use my skills and my gifts, and knowing that I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be and every single thing has made me who I am. How can I use that to support others? And it's less about me. And it's helped me to overcome that's something that I in society have struggled with, but knowing that I can do things differently, and that's probably why I'm an entrepreneur, because I can do things for myself in the ways that work best for me, and it's worked out so far.
Yeah. Do you have any other just tips or strategies that people can use to move forward and become and maintain whatever success looks like to them?
Yeah, I think if you can get clear about what it is that you're working towards, and then you can set smaller goals underneath that can be really helpful. And then just trial and error. Let yourself know, like today's February 1st, let yourself know, hey, you know what, this month I want to try this. I want to see if I actually notice a difference, and commit to that. Write it down where you can see it every single day. Have somebody else in your life hold you accountable. How many times, Dani, have I said, hey, this is what I'm working on? Be vocal about what you're working on. One of the things for relationship reasons is understanding my emotions. That was really hard for me to express and communicate. And when I started looking at an app that helped me understand what I was feeling and, understand my emotions, the app is called How We Feel. Look that up. It's one of my favorite apps. I tell all the clients that I've worked with have that app. And you can just go on, it's free, and you can say how you're feeling. You can practice checking in with yourself, because that's what's going to help you be better in every area. And you're going to know what you have space for, what you don't have space for, and how you can be a better partner, friend, coworker, whatever it may be, family member.
Anything else that you want to share?
Yeah, I think if you've had a lot of people tell you that, it's a weakness, or you felt like you've even hated your own self for it, I would encourage you, and I want to challenge you to try to shift that, because I've seen what the other side looks like of embracing it as a part of me, and as a part of me that is so special and important and exciting. And I see the benefits. I'm reaping the benefits of being myself. And people are asking me to come speak, and they're asking me to work with them because I'm just me. And I think at the end of the day, people will always be able to sniff out if you're being fake or if you're hiding yourself. And it takes a lot of energy to hide yourself. So embrace who you are. If you're neurodivergent, if you've been diagnosed with ADHD, knowing that you can be exactly who you are, and that's enough. And I think that's what's changed my life and has made me a better person, and has made me just love more about who I am.
I love it. Thank you so much, Keely, for sharing and really just being an inspiration to so many people around the world. I love you, and I know a lot of others do as well. You're very inspiring.
I love you too. Thanks.
We'll see you next week on the podcast.
Bye, everyone.